Hello world, I want to come on and talk about media reporting and talk about these apparent side effects that children are suffering from as a result of COVID-19. And I want to talk more about vaccines. So here we go. There have been loads of reports in a few different newspapers this week about children in the UK now suffering from something that appears very similar to Kawasaki disease, and it's been linked to COVID-19. Now, Kawasaki disease is a listed side effect of most childhood vaccines. It's definitely a listed side effect of the MMR. It's definitely a listed side effect of the meningitis vaccine. And this never gets reported, and this is what I want to talk about, is that vaccination status is never ever mentioned when the media reports on what appears to be a tragic death. SIDS is a classic example for this. You'll notice that they'll sometimes say in the newspaper article, the child visited a well clinic earlier that week and was completely fine, and then 72 hours later, child was found dead from SIDS. Well clinic always means vaccine clinic. You never just take your child somewhere for someone to say, oh, that looks well. No, they always try and jab it in something while they're there. I've touched on before about how the flu vaccine, a few doctors are now saying this, back what I was saying on my very first video, is this a side effect of someone that's had a flu vaccine in the last 2 years? Kawasaki disease is a vaccine side effect. So when you're reading these reports now of these children that are presenting with these symptoms, you need to ask yourself, when were they last vaccinated? Newspapers need to be reporting when somebody was last vaccinated before they then go on to start saying anything else. No underlying health conditions does not mean unvaccinated. And people seem to think that a child gets its first vaccines at 8 weeks old in this country, which is technically true, which is still astonishingly young to be jacking your baby up with stuff. But there's also the vitamin K that's given at birth, and that injection comes with a black box warning. Now, that's given within hours of birth. So anytime you're reading something in the paper, we need to ask ourselves, was that child vaccinated? When was that child last vaccinated? And what medications are they on? Because a lot of these symptoms that people are presenting with are side effects of medications, popular medications. Vaccines are medications, and the majority of the population are vaccinated. So I can give you a perfect example. I was asked personally, I think it was about 10 months ago now, but I was asked personally by a producer of This Morning, which is a TV show here in the UK. And I've worked with them before, and they asked me, they knew that I was a part of the anti-vax movement, and they asked me if I could find somebody to go on This Morning to talk about how they regretted not vaccinating their child. And I said to them I'd try. So I did. I put a shout out in a group that has over 35,000 people in it, all that haven't vaccinated. Not one single person, not one, was prepared to say that they regretted vaccinating the child, because I've yet to meet somebody that does. I could introduce you to over 500,000 that regret vaccinating. The This Morning programme still went out. They found somebody for the article. It was a woman whose child had his first MMR shot, but not his booster. He went on to contract measles, and they managed to twist that. I'll find the article. There's an article that I used because I spoke about this when it happened 10 months ago. There's an article I used, and I'll link that in the comments below. But that's what's happening, okay? Nobody regrets not vaccinating the child. I can introduce you to so many people that do regret it, not just that regret it, that live with that regret every single day. Ask yourselves when someone was last vaccinated, when you're next reading a fear-mongering scare article in the media. And another thing, we're apparently expecting a second wave. I'm still waiting on the first wave, personally myself, but let's talk about the second wave that's about to come. Vaccine clinics at the minute, and I can testify this, I've got my inbox is full of mums who are at the moment getting pressured to take the children down to be vaccinated. Vaccine clinics are up and running. People are being encouraged to go and get the flu shot, because right now you're being encouraged to go and get your flu shot because apparently that's going to help. This is your second wave. Your second wave is everybody that's getting vaccinated right now. It's everybody that's living in fear and that's terrified. Fear suppresses the immune system. It's everybody that's living in fear. It's everybody that's denying themselves fresh air and sunlight. It's everybody that's disrupting their microbiome by going over their house with all these harsh cleaning chemicals and slathering themselves in this hormone disruptive microbiome destroying antibacterial gel. There's your second wave. All right, get healthy. I promise you that if you didn't listen to the news or read your paper, you wouldn't even know about this virus. You'd assume it was the seasonal flu. Okay? COVID, COVID, case of vaccine-induced disease. Go ahead, prove me otherwise. Find me something that shows that this is not a case of over-vaccinating. I'd love to read it. Okay? I'm all ears. Hit me up with it. Peace.